Today, we're talking about zero trust. Let's roll. If you've been following cybersecurity over the past few years, you've probably heard the phrase zero trust. So in this video, we're going to break it down a little bit. What is it? Well, broadly speaking, zero trust is a security model that security architects, network architects use to define the way that the digital estate goes about authenticating users, but also how it allocates access to assets inside of that digital estate. It's a philosophy. Now, historically, we've tended to use a different philosophy when we've been designing networks. We've used something called the walled garden approach, and that's pretty simple. The idea, it sounds exactly like the name. You build a really strong perimeter, a really strong boundary around your digital estate by putting really strong security controls at the edges of that digital estate. What that meant was devices that were inside that digital estate, there was an inherent trust. They were trusted by default because they were inside of what was called a trust zone. Now, this creates a couple of problems in modern networks. Firstly, workforces are distributed. They're not centralized in the same way that they were before, and this distribution makes it really hard to implement a successful walled garden approach when you've got users all over the place. And the second thing is that, there's something called a trust proxy. And what that meant was when the device was inherently trusted, that also meant by proxy, the user of that device was inherently trusted. And sometimes you don't want to trust that user. Sometimes there's a distrust of people who are inside that network, whether they're insider threats or whether they're someone who's just gained access somehow. A much more contemporary way is by designing a network in a zero trust model, in a zero trust way. And what that means is that there's no default trust based on logical or physical location. There's no inherent trust. Everything is untrusted. And by making everything untrusted, it forces you to make sure that any device that is gaining access to your digital estate has a confidence level. It has a level of trust that you can trust that that device is going to do the things you want it to do, but not necessarily the bad things that you don't want it to do. And it relies on things like mutual authentication, strong authentication, role-based access control. It's completely locationless. If implemented correctly, a zero trust architecture doesn't really understand location. And the best part about it is it's constantly evaluating the devices to give a level of confidence of those devices inside of that digital estate. And if it gets to a point where it doesn't trust you anymore, out you go. Right, that's it for this video. I hope that makes sense. That was a very, very fast description of it. We can get into any of those topics. If you want to hear about role-based access control or mutual authentication or any of these kind of concepts, leave a note in the description below, or in the comments below, and I'll try and cover it. That's it for this video, folks. Stay happy, stay healthy, look after each other. I'm out.